Hello, my fellow gaming tankers. In today's video, we're going to be talking about, well, you can see on screen, the Dragula T-55AGM tank, along with my overview of Metalfest 2024. But before we get into all that, let's take a moment to say our tanker's prayer. Thank Jeebus, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, because wargaming makes the rules, so wargaming can break the rules. Thank you. Now, once again, we have the T-55AGM. I won't go into too many details because we're already behind on videos, a lot of reviews on this tank, and you've already bought the tank if you could get it. The question is, what do I think about it? And once again, we have another Era 3 buy-in at a reduced price for a sale, but weirdly enough, at least for the premiums, and I guess this is very top of the era, despite being a T-55 with extra bits added on. Again, this tank came out in the 2000s with some Ukrainian upgrades to the T-55 for armor, better gun, and yeah. So, should it be in this game at all? Nah, we're kind of in a gray zone. It's got the modern armor, but it's an outdated tank underneath it. Thankfully, the upgrades, well, the upgrades make it almost capable. As you can see here with my ammo loadout, 42 rounds, and that's actually almost a problem, because yeah, you almost start running out of ammo. You run low real fast, especially with what is mercifully a modern 125mm smoothbore like you find on the T-72s, because that means you get 605mm of penetration and about 550 alpha. That's good, and that's the only thing that makes this tank semi-capable in Era 3. On the subject of this being overpowered compared to the Type 59D, which is a tank that came out in about the mid-1980s, actually, in my opinion, the Type 59D is overpowered. In fact, the Chinese tanks seem to be a little overpowered. For starters, well, the Type 85I and the Type 59D both have the same boom snout, so they both get the 605mm of penetration, but the 448 alpha. Meanwhile, you have other 105mm boom snouts in the game, or in that era, coming up a little bit lacking. Like the Merkava Mark 1, its top boom snout only has 527 penetration, 460 alpha. The Magok 7C, 538 penetration. The Merkava Mark 2B, 527 penetration. So basically, I think someone forgot what the 105s were supposed to do in Era 3, which is why they suck, because they don't have the penetration required. And so, which kind of brings me up to an interesting subject of, well, I'm prepping a very basic loadout here, because you're going to see my first match and second matches after I've played it, put on the equipment, I think, and then the second match will see my mostly official loadout. So not much happens here. I think the tank looked good. Tank looks good. Why another American heavy metal band has a foreign tank? I don't know. Motorhead has another Soviet tank. Weirdly enough, Iron Maiden has the only British. It's their tank is made up completely and utterly, so I can't even say what nation it is, which is why it's in the independent line. That's so yeah. I don't And then there's the Senjutsu for the Iron Maiden, which that's Chinese. Yeah. Kind of do feel like overall for the Metalfest, we're still getting this very odd situation of band nationalities not matching up with the nationality of the tank they're given. I mean, apart from Sabaton. Okay, I realize Wargaming works with the assets they have at the time, I think, which is why the piece sells as a Leclerc prototype. But that's a great tank in Era 3. Now on to what is about to become an issue here is the Dragula, like many of the boom sounds here, do suffer from penetrating MBTs from the front. Because a lot of the MBTs have really good turret and frontal armor, especially Leopard. Not so much Merkabahs, but it's a similar thing. It's like, yes, the MBTs from the front are kind of a real pain to penetrate. And don't get me started on the Objects 477, the Malot TD. So now that we have fewer ATGMs being fired in Era 3, because we have fewer Visels and light tank capable ATGM shooters. It's early in the morning. I'm trying to get this out and lacking coffee, but we're suddenly having that massive damage that would come with having a successful ATGM hit. Meaning, I've also noticed with MBTs, you gotta shoot a lot more. And if you're, say, in a Merkava with 50 rounds or more, that's great. But once you're in these medium tanks, which the Dragula is, and suddenly you're limited to being under 45 rounds, yeah, you do a lot more whittling away than you do sometimes being effective. It's sort of, this tank, you don't have to play it like a late stage support tank and coming in and mopping up, but you kind of have to do that from the start, or else by the midpointers, depending on how these matches are lasting longer, you're running out of ammo. And if you're dealing with so many MBTs now, it's like if you can't flank, you're gonna be just having to accept you're gonna bounce. So it's a tank that almost feels like it's more team dependent than anything else, but it is a medium tank. The frontal armor, along with the turret armor, are good at a distance, but up close, nope. Thankfully, you have good mobility, just like the Type 59D, maybe a little better, but your silhouette, and seems to me, is bigger. Like the Type 59D can be, because you have that more streamlined look of a T-55 type tank. You're not as bulky. Granted, the Dragula gets around the map fine enough, because all these tanks get around fine in Era 3 well enough. So, yeah, I think it's a weird, this tank kind of weirdly suffers from not having more ATGMs being fired. So, all the players with the Magach 7Cs and the Merkavas that are ATGM capable, and I would call upon the T-72 players, but good lord, a 20-second reload time or load time for an ATGM? Yeah, like, without those massive damaging ATGMs being more prevalent, you gotta put more rounds into a target and hope they don't bounce, which, thank God, this tank has 125mm smoothbore, because if it didn't, it would struggle. Like, that's the only thing that gives me confidence in this tank, aside from its looks. So, do I wish we'd gotten another Era 2 tank? It would have fit better into that era, but then again, Era 2 is swamped with premiums. So, and Era 1, we're just finally getting another tank line that has a heavy coming into Era 1, and that's the T-80, which comes out this Tuesday if hopefully I post this soon. But yeah, that's my overview of the Dragula. It is a capable medium. Again, don't get detected. I strongly recommend, and comment down below if you think Sixth Sense should have a better presence in Cold War. Besides the fact that it should just be standard on all commanders as it is on PC. Oh, like and subscribe. Now, on to Metalfest 2004 as a whole. One, I'm really glad all the previous bands got to return. That was definitely helped stretch it out. I noticed because I started posting shorts for at least just the commanders that were coming in, which unfortunately I couldn't afford any of them. Got a lot more views on my channel. So obviously Rob Zombie, because he is still going, is still a great addition and a smart move. And Lemmy getting Motorhead was despite the fact that the band isn't performing anymore, rest in peace Lemmy Kilmister, a true god in the hard rock heavy metal world. Not a legend, he surpasses that. But that was great. And as I noticed, because of their use of AI, Wargaming's use of AI to get voiceover, that uniqueness actually got outside press outside of the gaming world, or at least your gaming console's homepage. So while we didn't get Rob Zombie's voiceover for his commander, we got Lemmy's, which, despite what's happening currently with SAG-AFTRA voiceover actors and stuff, that strike, it's interesting, slightly terrifying, but it definitely meant something very unique is now part of World of Tanks Modern Armor that not a lot of other games can say they have. So that was a really huge, very unique moment for World of Tanks, or for Metalfest 2004. Now, depending on if you chose Motorhead or Rob Zombie, you had that operation where you could get a discount on the main tank and then a smaller discount on the other band's tank. Good, interesting. It got people interested who might want to play and force them to get experience, which I did necessary if you were like, hey, could you please stick around and play our game? And for the veterans or regular players, we'll say, nice, but it would have been nice to see, I think, the skins for the FV-107 and the M35, M55 artillery. I really think those skins should have been free. I don't think they needed to put licensing music on them, which is why they had to put a dollar sign or a pound sign on those, because then it was like, dude, we're putting money in to get the licensing. I wish they hadn't done that. I wish those had been for free, just so we have, just for something for the players that I guess we'll say could only afford the nosebleed seats, or they were, you know, sitting outside listening to music. I really feel like that would have been nice to have, because you had something for World War II, although you had it for a Tier 9 artillery, which for some of us, I'm grinding that artillery line, but I'm nowhere near that. I think I'm in Tier 4, maybe 5. It was just a little lower maybe, so the new players, those interested, could have gotten it. At like the Era 1, it's the second vehicle in the line. That's easy to get. So I really think those should have been free. Take out the music and licensing, which I think is another thing that is Wargaming's banking on. But free emblems are, you know, they're nice stickers, but you don't really get to see emblems on the side of your tank because they're too damn small. So that is something I wish could change next year. A few more freebies that are worthwhile. And as for pricing, obviously, we are maybe in the era of realization that greedflation is a thing, and obviously Wargaming and their ilk are masters at overpricing stuff and getting away with it. But I think we're starting, us the players are kind of being like, can we stop that? You don't need to charge a full price game for one mediocre at best vehicle. I say vehicle because we're definitely getting away from tanks, as seen with the Czechoslovakian anti-air vehicles being introduced to PC and anti-air vehicles being introduced in the console probably about next year or so. Then, so Metalfest 2004, was it? I'll say it was good because of the bands they got. I'm wondering though, still leaning towards that dad rock crowd. Nothing really new. Relevant, still relevant, yes, but not new. Bands like Ginger, although I know I have 20% of my viewers are Russian and they probably don't like hearing me referencing Ukraine, but they are a very popular metal act. Obviously, Slaughter to Prevail. They're Russian, although they've moved to America for their reasons that they shared publicly. So, yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of new metal bands that I know may not agree with the age demographic of this game, but do appeal to a more youthful audience. Although I'm referencing these bands, so how youthful is that? I think a lot of some fans that currently play and some new fans would be really interested in Lorna Shore maybe making an appearance. I guess Sleep Token would be fun for some, although I am not one of those some. So, yeah. I think that besides being overpriced, like, is it like, what are we, the Rolling Stones here? Come on. And needing, the operations are well enough for decent free stuff, but I'm kind of feeling that next year it would be nice to see Metalfest get its own mode. And it had me thinking of the Normandy beach assault we had earlier this year, where would it be cool if somehow we could, like, listen, I'm just throwing this out there, but so we as the player have to, for whatever made up reason, alien invasion, surprise outbreak of war or whatever, have to help escort, I know, escort missions, woo, the band's bus from a starting point to the gig. And of course we have to make stops for like fuel and stuff, for food, while we're being attacked by AI tank bots. I think that is just something more to make this a bigger event, and that would be interesting. And just besides the bands being a draw, because this is our second year, and I don't know how interested the regular player base is going to be if it's just, oh, more what's so special? We can get a band tank that might be okay. Maybe we can afford the 3D commander with a voiceover. Maybe. And then we have a couple operations for free emblems that don't do much. Well, the emblems do allow us to make what should be the band tank. Like I'm going to be making one of the Abrams, the Megadeth tank, whenever I unlock it. Sadly, the T80 line in my lack of silver, because I just finished the Merkava grind, is meaning that's going to take longer. But it's in the works. I got plans. And I think that's what going forward Metalfest is, if it comes back. Again, been really interesting to see what new players played this game because of Metalfest 2024. And of course, the big question is how many of them are sticking around. Hey, hit the like button if you're still playing World of Tanks Modern Armor after Metalfest 2024. Because the new blood's good. It's always good to have new fans, whether it's video gaming or in the world of music. So those are my opinions. Comment down below what you think. Definitely share your thoughts on what you think Metalfest 2025 should have. And like and subscribe. I hope you keep tracks on the ground and the RNG's in your favor. And I'll catch you next one. Bye.